I think most of you know Bill very well. Bill Reyland is a multi-talented person, an author, a musician, a healthcare worker, and having trained in chaplaincy at BJC, at Evelyn House Hospice, he worked for a time at Alton Memorial as a hospital chaplain and currently is a full-time hospice chaplain in Kansas City. And is going to weave some of those experiences into a talk today entitled Dying in the Dharma. So, Bill, we're so happy to see you here. Good friend. Thank you.
Wow. Well, there are too many people here, so I'm leaving because the pressure is too great. I'm going to change the title of the talk to "Swallowing the River," and I think that's a better title. As usual, you know, the teacher shows up and pokes the student in the brain when he's ready, because that title really fits perfectly with you know, life and death, and death in that context could be swallowing the river of our lives, this last great gulp, and that's a tall order. So so thank you, teacher, and I sit here among you as a student only, but speaking of teachers, the teacher that got me involved with this work, because I should give her a nod. Many of you know Reverend Kaylin McAllister. She was the one that introduced me to working in the prison system. Who really put me on the path. Thank you. So Kaylin introduced me to this kind of work, and it was a really great experience. So she was one of my early teachers. My first teacher, I think, in terms of death and dying, in terms of my spiritual path, was a member of my family who was an aunt, who was a Catholic nun. And this is a story that I still tell. It's one that still has a lot of sparkle for me, and I still learn a great deal from. So this was a human being. She was a nun in the late 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, who died when I was in my late 20s. But she worked as a Catholic nun in Las Vegas, and in those days they used the term wayward women. So she worked with all these different groups of people in Las Vegas, but she had this incredible aura of wisdom and poise, and you know, such a sense of goodness about her. We always had a very deep bond. So when she was dying of cancer many years later, after living a life of complete selfless poverty, I would go see her in the nursing home. And she was so enthusiastic about her impending death that it was just amazing to me to witness this great joy and tremendous gratitude, tremendous deep gratitude for her life. And when she would beg for people to pray for her passing, she was so prepared. She was prepared to swallow the river of her life, and she was happy with all of it. So when she passed, they let us all go into the room and choose whatever she had left. And all that she had for the river in her life fit into a shoebox on the bed. And that was it. And that was enough for her. So there's a huge lesson there that I still carry. And I tell this story to my patients, ones who I think will benefit and see the beauty in it. But it proves to me, and still, it proves to me that we can die peacefully. It proves to me that there is power in our spiritual practices, be they Christian or Muslim or Buddhist, and that this is a real thing that can occur. But the how is the hard part. And so this is where I'm at in my work. And this is what I want, what she experienced in my own death. And I want that for everyone else as well. So she's a model of what can be achieved. So now many years later, I'm seen, and I've been tagged as, by my agency refers to me as a Buddhist Christian chaplain, which I find to be kind of funny and really interesting. And also, I'm not really too happy with it. And I would prefer not to have any title at all, because I don't really know what that means. And I've been struggling for a long time with the idea of a Buddhist chaplain. Why do we have to have any sort of title on that? I don't know what that is. So part of my motivation today is to get your assistance, and maybe we can unpack what that means. And how do we die as Buddhists? I'm not sure. Because, you know, the Christians die with a great deal of craving and clinging. They're clinging to things very deeply. And Buddhists were taught not to cling. So, but yet they still manage to die with peace and hope and meaning and comfort and all those things that we wish for. So what does it mean to be a Buddhist and die as a Buddhist, or to be a Buddhist chaplain? But let's look a little bit, let's see a little bit about what Dogen thinks, because this is a Dogen group. And just briefly for fun, let's see what Dogen says about death and dying. So let me just see if I can do this. Screen sharing. Oh, great. So Dogen, you can see the slide, yes? You guys can see the slide, okay?
Yeah, yes, we can, Bill.
So, all right. So Dogen sees life as the entire work of our birth and our death, and both having the same merit, and both having the same chance to be enlightened, to be free. And this is a really tall order, and I'm not sure about this. So he wrote a quite a popular essay called the Zen Key, where you know, he goes into how important birth and death are, and how they're intertwined, and how they represent both have the same value in terms of our practice and what we're striving for or not striving for. So Zen Key, if we look at the word, it's kind of cool. Zen, or whole, and then key, and there are many translations, but works. We are a working machine. Our mind is also a working machine. So, you know, it's a built machine, and it has a cycle, and it functions. And the end is just as important as the beginning. So, and of course, as we know, the idea of our practice is to be free. And you know, our birth isn't something that we can prepare for, but our life has a little more wiggle room, and our death, certainly we can prepare for our death. So this is an interesting thing, that you know, we can have freedom there. So it's a pretty brief, short view of what Dogen thinks, but we can see that his idea is that birth and death are the same, and that they're both good. And I wonder if maybe our practice really in life is all in preparation for death. I'm going to stop sharing if I can here. So that's really the core of this talk, I guess, and it's really more of a workshop because I would like us to do our breakout rooms, and maybe we can talk about these sort of things. Are you prepared for death? Are you preparing? Is there a possibility that there is such a thing as a Christian death or a Buddhist death? I'm not sure that there's any kind of different kind of death per human being as an individual. I think they're all the same in deep kind of existential ways, in terms of fear, in terms of questioning, what's going to happen next. And if you have a view that accepts reincarnation, that's going to accept, that's also going to affect how you die. So I'm just wondering what people think about these sort of things. Yeah, so that's really all I have. It's really just kind of a workshop. If you have any questions, I can try to answer those as well. We can do those after, I guess, if you like.
Yeah. Bill, what do you think? We could divide into about, I think, 4 groups and discuss some of the issues you bring up, and then get back together in, about 15 or 20 minutes or so, and then finish up as a group together to share some of these thoughts we have. So if that sounds like it would work for you, we can do that.
Perfect. Yeah. So just some key things to think about. Or I guess how do you plan on dying? Is there such a thing as a Buddhist death? Is it possible to reach a place of freedom and peace when you're experiencing terrible pain? People in hospice are often, it's mostly about pain management. So these are some of the things I struggle with, or how possible that really is, because I think it's very difficult. So some of the things that I struggle with, and how important is it, to put a religious title on our death? So yeah, I'm just really curious to hear what you think, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, good. So we'll break up into groups, and I think Bill is in a special situation with a Buddhist orientation and background, and functioning in a largely predominantly Christian environment. And I think all of us are in that situation by and large. So I think that's an important aspect to consider. So we'll break up into groups and come back in a few minutes.